Ponyfans.com here with wide receivers coach Jeff Reinebold. And the first question that comes up going into this season from your standpoint is that your top receiver is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. You're losing about 100 catches out of Emmanuel. Who takes that leadership alpha male role, or is it more of a receiver by committee approach this year?
I think that'll sort itself out as we go through. You know, I've been really impressed with Al so far in camp, his maturity. He's a different kid in terms of his work habits. He wants to be a leader now. And I think what happens is that torch gets passed from generation to generation. It certainly happened that way when we were at Hawaii. It went from Ashley Lilly, to Devon Best and those guys. And now I hope that Al will be the next one. It was encouraging to see the Raiders in here yesterday to look at him. And, the young ones learn from the old ones when you got a program in their right, healthy state.
A couple of the players have mentioned a couple of your other receivers, Cole Beasley and even Brad Haynes, as also taking on sort of a leadership role. Do you want that leadership split up among the older guys, or would you rather have Al be the unquestioned lead dog among receivers?
Like I said, I think that'll kind of work itself out. I think, the system puts everybody in a position where you're going to get catches. Now, the good thing about being without a, quote, alpha male like we had last year with Emmanuel is just like Michael Jordan or any great player, Kobe Bryant, there's a tendency for the others to step back a little bit and let him play. Now, I don't think we have that situation, so each of them can kind of express themselves as the game goes on, and I've seen good things out of Cole. Darius Johnson, I think, has a chance to be a really, really good player. And Bradley Haynes is going to give us something that we've not had outside, which is a big physical presence, and every time we put him in a game, he's performed well for us, so I'm rooting for him to come in and give us that big physical outside receiver.
Okay, you just mentioned a couple of guys. One with Darius Johnson has gotten a lot of hype and attention basically since the day he got on campus, including teammates saying he's going to eventually break Emmanuel Sanders' records and that kind of thing. What is it about him that makes you and his teammates so encouraged about how good he can be down the road?
Well, he's really smooth. He's got such smoothness. He can get in and out of his breaks. He's got unbelievable hands. You saw today, if you watch the whole practice, 3 or 4 or 5 times, he reaches up with one hand and can take the ball out of the air. He can create plays with his feet and with the ball in his hands. Now, I think Kyle is going to be really critical in terms of our ability to have more yards after catch, and that's one of our goals for this season, because Kyle is so much more accurate with the football. And so that our slots, as they catch balls in positions where they can take it and run with it after the catch, it's a symbiotic relationship on offense. The offensive line obviously has to protect, the quarterback's got to deliver the football, and then ultimately we've got to catch it.
You also mentioned Brad Haynes, and between Brad and now also having Patrick Fleming coming back over to the offensive side, what does that allow you and Coach Jones to do in terms of changing up their play calls and different formations you can run with two guys who are that big and strong?
It gives us a chance to get into some personnel groups that we've not been able to get into before, where basically Brad functioned as a tight end last year. He's big and strong enough to do that. Pat obviously can do the same thing. So it forces defensive coordinators' hands a little bit, because do you put on your big people to play against a 2 tight end offense, and then all of a sudden we split those guys out. Now you've got personnel mismatches all over the field. Or you put your nickel people on because you view us as a 4-wide team. Now we play with 2 tight ends and we can run the football. So it gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of what we can do attacking the defense.
One guy who got a lot of attention, especially toward the end of last year, for his progress was Cole Beasley, who sort of burst onto the national scene during the bowl game. But several players have talked about his offseason and how he's now benching over 300 and you can't get him out of the weight room. How does that increased physical strength translate to making him a better receiver on the field?
Well, Cole is a big Wes Welker fan, and one of the things that we asked him to do in the offseason was research Welker and realize that how strong he is. Now, he's not any bigger than Cole, and he's a little thicker than Cole is, but Cole will grow into that. But, Cole now sees that the explosive strength that Mel has taught him in the weight room translates into plays on the field. He'll be tougher to tackle. He'll be able to run longer, faster, because he's in better condition to play harder in the fourth quarter. And that's part of the game. I mean, we've got to wear people out, and we've got to run and run and run and run and run. And in the fourth quarter, when we're still running, we may be 4-5, but we're running 4-5 in the fourth quarter when those 4-4 guys are running 4-7 in the fourth quarter because they're tired.
You and Coach Jones generally like to go with 4 receivers and let them run sort of all day long, but you've got a nice collection of freshmen who've come in, some of whom have had their moments looking impressive in practice. Who stands out to you among among the freshmen?
I think the single biggest standout would be Jeremy Johnson. And then, Keenan Holman has the physical dimensions that you really look for. Now, he played in a wishbone offense for 3 of his 4 years in high school, so he's underdeveloped as a receiver, but it's difficult to find guys that are 6'4" and can run and have the kind of hand size and wingspan that he has. So he has all the physical tools. Ginyard has shown me flashes. He's coming off a knee, so he's going to probably be a year before he's really ready to go. All of them, every one of them in the freshman class is to come in and shine. And I think that the redshirt freshman, you look at Marcus Hollyfield, caught some balls today in practice. He doesn't even look like the same kid from a year ago. And Chase Jobert's work habits have really, manifest themselves in a much better receiver in his second season.
You mentioned Kyle Ginyard maybe being a year away because of that knee injury he had last year. Jeremy's coming in after being a quarterback last year.
Yeah.
Does he also need a period of an extended learning curve, or could he conceivably contribute this year?
It's interesting you say that, because we were standing on the field today, and I went over to Dan Morris and I said, I'll tell you what, we could put him in at Texas Tech, and he may not do everything the way we want it to done, but I'll bet you the kid will make plays, because he is a playmaker. And ultimately in this game, you got to find ways to get the guys who can make plays on the field. June is an amazing signal caller, and he's also an amazing guy at understanding when a kid's ready to play and just how much to give him when he does have to play. You look at Kyle Padron's progress last year. I mean, he scaled back an awful lot of what we did to fit Kyle's abilities and his readiness level. I think he could do the same thing with some of those young guys. And the fact of the matter is, we get a couple guys hurt, those guys are in and playing, so we got to get them ready to play.
Do you ever have a moment of flashback when you see Jeremy wearing number 17 running around out there? Do you suddenly think Sanders?
It's interesting. I got after him in practice yesterday, because not because he's a bad kid or anything like that, but he just doesn't know about a lot of things and how to play. And I just told him, I said, you're wearing 17, and that's special here. And number 17 from last year would have never, ever, ever quit on a play like you just did. And I think he got it, because he came out here today, and I think he does realize that we all stand on the shoulders of those that came before us. And there's a great tradition of receivers here going all the way back to, Raymond Berry and Jerry Levias and on and on and on and on. So, those are the guys that we have to live up to, not just 17, but all of those guys that have come through here.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
All right, brother.